American Eagle and Sydney Sweeney are absolutely everywhere right now. Whether you're neutral on the Sydney Sweeney has great genes ad, you hate it, you love it, everybody is talking about it. And I want to give you a marketing perspective because that was the entire point. In fact, you may think that you are just talking about the ad, but you are actually a part of the marketing of this type of campaign. All right. Well, welcome back to the channel. My name is Ashley Brandon Eve. I have over 15 years of experience in branding, marketing, and PR. And I wanted to break down the Sydney Sweeney American Eagle ad. Well, I should actually change that. I didn't necessarily want to. I have received so many messages about it that I thought it was time to break down what American Eagle did and the intention behind it. Because some of the discourse I'm seeing is there's no way this made it past all of these different professionals at American Eagle and they put this out and it's so tone deaf. They did exactly what they intended to do. So I want to break down this type of marketing so you can understand it. And if you choose to stay away from this type of marketing because of the intention behind it, then that is something that you can use discernment on within advertising, or maybe you don't care either way. So let's break it down, shall we? To break down the intentionality of this ad from a marketing perspective, we have to understand what was going on with American Eagle. American Eagle was struggling, y'all. It was on life support before this ad happened. They needed something that would create such a spark that it ignited into a fire basically overnight. So you can probably see already that what happened as a result of that ad was exactly what they not just wanted, but needed. Before the Sydney Sweeney ad, if we look at Q1 in 2025, there was massive concern around American Eagle. American Eagle reported a 68 million to 85 million adjusted operating loss tied to a 75 million inventory write-down and promotions on unsold merchandise. They were in trouble. Comparable sales fell approximately 2 to 3% year over year, and fiscal guidance was abruptly withdrawn. This triggered a sharp market reaction. And if you go back or you saw this happening at the beginning of 2025, people were talking about how much of a crisis this was. You can still find those articles, and I have some clips of them here. The CFRA downgraded American Eagle stock to a hold from a buy, citing poor demand forecasting and overstock issues. Analysts warn the stock's decline in 2025, 35% down on average, was tied to structural headwinds, not temporary blips. So when the stock was going down, I'm not a stock girl. I hate them. I've lost money on them, so I hate stocks now. So I really don't know much about stocks. However, what they were saying when you look at the discourse around American Eagle, even earlier this year, was this isn't temporary. Basically, American Eagle's done. We saw some articles around American Eagle stock dives as retailer pulls outlook. JP Morgan cuts price target. Another one, American Eagle Outfitters navigating a storm of strategic missteps and structural challenges. So again, it wasn't just a blip. It was, you've made so many missteps and structural challenges. Y'all going down swinging for the Fall Out Boy fans. At A Invest, they had an article saying American Eagle Outfitters finds itself at critical crossroads. A recent downgrade by CFRA to a hold rating from buy, coupled with a dismal first quarter performance marked by a 75 million inventory write-down and withdrawn fiscal guidance, underscores a growing crisis. This article dissects the intersection of macroeconomic pressures, operational mismanagement, and leadership credibility to argue for a sell recommendation while evaluating near-term catalysts and long-term viability in a cautious retail landscape. And there's actually even the downgrade context. CFRA's downgrade in early 2025 followed AEO's Q1 2025 results, which revealed a 5% revenue decline to a 1.1 billion and an adjusted operating loss of 68 million. Yes. 5% revenue decline to 1.1 billion with operating loss of 68 million. They genuinely needed something fast. It says a 75 million inventory write-down, stark indicator of overstocking and pricing missteps, exposed poor demand forecasting. There was yeah, there was no hope, basically, if you were following this crisis earlier in 2025. We also saw articles coming out saying American Eagle's recovery won't be overnight. And I feel as though the marketing team at American Eagle was like, hold my beer. Because wouldn't you know it, it bounced back quite literally overnight from this ad. Spoiler alert, it did bounce back. But there were these growth concerns and macro risks. Commentary emphasized ongoing risks, shifting tariffs, demand softness, weather variables, supply chain challenges. There was commentary around American Eagle's reliance on Chinese imports was flagged as a major vulnerability. Again, I don't know much about American Eagle. This is what I've been able to find. Though technically undervalued by metrics, analysts cautioned fundamentals were wavering, making any rally suspect unless core operations improved. And this is what we're going to talk about as well. When we're looking at a campaign like the one American Eagle ran, one of the criticisms I hear is, well, this isn't going to last. It's short term. Yeah, that was the point. This kind of ad campaign and marketing wasn't meant to be long-term solutions. What we continually see is they had core operations issues within the brand itself. This was meant to give it a spark, get people talking about it again, help out the stock a little bit, help out the business, because they were quite literally in a crisis. But I don't think anyone, including American Eagle themselves, expected this to be a long-term solution. And this is where they came in with what I call polarity play. Now, if y'all start stealing my words, I'm going to know, because that's not the official way to call it. But in comes polarity play. They needed a moment fast. Polarity play delivers cultural oxygen when the brand is gasping for it. So this kind of ad and ad push, and really walking the line of what some people would see as very controversial or offensive versus other people that just don't really get the outrage, was all intentional. They needed oxygen and fast. It was meant to be a fast, short-term boost. But yes, caution remains. Post-campaign stock bumps will likely lack staying power long-term, depending on what American Eagle does next. The ball's in their court. What are you going to do next with this? And we see Inc.com, what American Eagle's Sydney Sweeney campaign has done. It talks about American Eagle's Sydney Sweeney campaign didn't just add $200 million to the company's market cap overnight. And then it goes into more. But I wanted to add that because what we saw just in May of 2025 was analysts and specialists saying, y'all, they need something overnight. It's the only thing that's going to save them. There needs to be a recovery overnight. That was in May 2025, just 7 days ago. So the beginning of August, end of July, articles are coming out saying it happened overnight. So I would say it was a success. They got what they wanted. Now, with this deliberate polarity, like I said, I call it polarity play. It's very intentional. There is a framework. I have a framework, even with my clients, that we walk through on how you implement something like this. How far you want to go and how controversial you want to go, it's going to be based on the brand, right? So the first thing that American Eagle is going to want to do with a polarity play marketing campaign is, one, pick a polarizing figure. Now, Sydney Sweeney is politically and culturally polarizing. For the politically side, she's tied to a conservative family, which inherently isn't bad, but in the climate that we're in, it really is left versus right. Everyone seems to be attacking everyone. So that became a point of contention even after the AE ads, was to target her for her family's political beliefs. Culturally polarizing, well, I mean, right down to her bathwater campaign, right? And selling her bathwater. That created a huge conversation for a lot of people. She's had sexualized roles in media and even sexualized ad campaigns that she's taken on. She's from Euphoria. I've never seen it, to be quite honest. And again, that ambiguous political optics, I don't believe, and I could be wrong, but I don't believe Sydney herself has talked about politics, but people have pulled up her voting registration and her family's. And that tension makes her a magnet for commentary, both praise and outrage. So she, right off the bat, is a figure that you're going to want for something like this. And she's very culturally relevant right now as well. She's literally everywhere. Number 2, launch an intentionally vague or loaded ad. The messaging itself, when you're going with something like a polarity play, you want to create a little bit of a Rorschach test. People are going to project their values onto it and then argue about it. And that's free amplification. So even just this little Rorschach blot here, everyone's going to see it a little bit differently. And that is the intention. You want it to be vague or loaded. How loaded? Depends on your brand, how far you're willing to go. 3, plausible deniability. Because the ad isn't overtly offensive. Now, it's going to be for some. Some people will disagree with that and say, yes, it actually was overtly offensive. That is also the point of this ad, is to create that conversation. The wordplay that they have and the nostalgia aspect of the ad that they have itself, though, wasn't overtly offensive or aggressive. So the brands can say in these scenarios, we're just celebrating this person. We're just celebrating individuality while watching the internet combust. And it's manufactured virality under the guise of innocence. And that's exactly what American Eagle did in their basically non-statement statement. This is a non-statement statement, really, at the end of the day. They said Sydney Sweeney has great genes, is and always was about the genes, her story. We'll continue to celebrate how everyone wears their AE jeans with confidence their way. Great jeans look good on everyone. And of course, that got everyone talking again in and of itself. But they stayed and remained vague, which I thought was very clever, very well done. It was a non-statement statement. And it leans right into what I have for plausible deniability, which is we're just celebrating individuality. What's your problem? And that's exactly what they said. Sydney Sweeney has great genes. What's your problem? Number 4, backlash equals boost. What looks like criticism becomes amplification. Think of it as, this ad's so problematic. Let me retweet it with commentary to show how problematic and outraged I am. Except now millions more eyeballs are on the product. And boom, her jeans sell out and stock surges overnight. The campaign worked, and while you thought you were critiquing the ad, you were actually a part of its rollout and marketing plan. Yes, even those that didn't like it. And I'm going to use an example later within CrossFit. CrossFit did this so well in the beginning. When I was first introduced to CrossFit, I was a personal trainer and building my brand within personal training. And I hated CrossFit because it represented everything I thought I projected onto it, right? That Rorschach test, that it represented everything I disagreed with. And I was outraged over it. I would see all these people injured doing it in the poor form. And I was in the bodybuilding industry then. And I'd get actual outrage about it. And then friends of mine said, Ash, just check it out. Like, just come with me for a workout. I thought, okay, whatever. I'll go for a workout. It's fine. What bad is a workout going to do? And then I started to see their marketing, Forging Elite Fitness. And I thought, well, oh shit, I want elite fitness. And then I saw their ad, CrossFit. And one, they had their mascot as Pukey the Clown. We're going to talk about that later as well. But CrossFit is finding the fittest on earth. Both of those statements caused outrage for a lot of people. And I was a hater of CrossFit in the beginning, hardcore hater. I'd be one of those people, like if I had X back then, rage tweeting about CrossFit. And I heard that and I went to one workout and I kicked everyone's ass and I was like, oh, damn it. And I was sold. And I've been doing it since. Been a big CrossFit person. They made a lot of marketing and branding missteps in recent years, which is the result of the brand going downhill. But they really leveraged polarity play in the beginning, and it worked so well. And it turns people that hate them into even loyal followers. So I became a CrossFitter. It became an identity, quite literally. It became an identity, which is also what you want within a brand. You can even see this in, for example, on a more mundane level or maybe relatable level for those that watch Emily D. Baker. There's a cultural identity, the law nerds. It's kind of us versus them. Either you are a law nerd, you follow the rules of the chat, you follow the rules of the channel, or you're not. Find somewhere else to go. It's very intelligent marketing. Number 5, stock surge. If timed correctly, and this would be part of the rollout, part of the goal, this kind of buzz can lead to short-term stock bumps, especially if product sales spike. This saves a struggling brand, and it's exactly what happened here. And in fact, there's even within the last couple of days, articles coming out saying Sydney Sweeney's ad did the impossible, getting people to talk about advertising again. So this ad hasn't just become the talk of the town in terms of cultural commentary. It's also become the talk of the town in marketing and branding and PR circles. People are talking about advertising again. It really landed, or stuck the landing. There's what I'm going for. Stuck a landing. 6, it also created polarity with quote unquote woke ads and potential shift in culture. We're in a post Bud Light and Jaguar era where any whiff of, what might be termed wokeness and branding gets weaponized by both sides. However, what was happening, and what you can see, this isn't opinion. This is literally what was happening. This is not Ashley, Brianna, Eve's opinion. This is the reality. Is brands that were leaning too far in wokeness were seeing massive backlash. Bud Light, the boycott that came, likely cost Anheuser-Busch over $1 billion in lost sales. And so I do believe, and again, this is just a marketing opinion, I do believe that the companies, because now you're seeing a couple of odd ads that are playing on this genetics thing, are seeing a shift in culture and a shift in where people are paying attention and putting their money. Again, not my personal opinion in terms of what I think is right or wrong in terms of advertising. At the end of the day, they're following what's happening. And I do believe that this deliberate polarity was also playing into noticing that people were kind of getting tired of being woke just to make a statement, or being woke just to be seen as culturally relevant, right? I really believe they were playing into that. Now, left-leaning consumers will call for the representation, equity, progressive values in advertising. Right-leaning consumers are saying, well, no, I'm sick of it. And brands have lost billions trying to navigate that tightrope. Billions, not across all brands, within a brand, Bud Light, Anheuser-Busch. So I do believe that plays in to the virality and the conversation, and also what we're seeing with multiple brands following along with this, that there might be a shift within advertising and marketing that they're leaning on. And it's kind of that post-woke ad era. I mentioned nostalgia. You may not have picked up on that. I want to show you how this isn't actually revolutionary. It truly is nostalgia. Sydney Sweeney is not original. And in fact, I would argue that her ad actually pulls hardcore on nostalgia, because anyone that's old enough remembers Cindy Crawford. Who doesn't remember Cindy Crawford in her Levi's? Look at this. It's sexy. It's simple. The poses are very similar to the poses that you are seeing with Sydney. Very similar poses. The old cars. During that time, Cindy Crawford had been a model for Levi's 501. She even modeled them on the cover of British Vogue in 1990. She was in a Pepsi commercial in 1992, which is an iconic Pepsi commercial, and her Levi's. And I don't know if you knew this. Just at the time that American Eagle was struggling, they were looking for a lifeline, Cindy Crawford was back in the news. Cindy Crawford revived this retro jeans style on a laid-back date night hop on the trend for $34. Fashion expert told me we'd see the style everywhere this spring, March 13th, 2025. So we were seeing her back in the news in regards to flare jeans, and she was the original icon. Look at these. Do these not look like the Sydney jeans? Y'all. And this is going back a little bit, but look at this. Cindy Crawford's genes are now finally a reality. 2017. Does that pose look familiar? It's nearly identical to the pose that Sydney Sweeney has. From the cutoff she wore in her classic Pepsi commercial to her pioneering the model off-duty uniform of jeans and a black t-shirt, Cindy Crawford has been a denim icon to many ever since she began crushing it on the catwalk. She partnered with Redone, industry favorite brand that takes vintage American wardrobe staples like Levi's jeans and Hanes white t-shirts and revamps them. So she had brought back this vintage look, vintage nostalgia, the OG of sexy ads for jeans. Look at this picture here. Can you imagine if Sydney Sweeney showed up with no shirt on and just her American Eagle jeans? But this is what I'm saying. It's actually nostalgia and going back to what jean ads ultimately used to be. Now, what happened next? Well, everyone's talking about it. I mean, you're going to have people saying that they're aligning with white nationalist, MAGA-friendly identities. That's their rebrand. That's what they're aligning with. This is Shalini Shankar, an anthropology professor at Northwestern University who studies youth and advertising. I think that this is them trying to rebrand themselves for the present moment. I genuinely don't think it's a rebrand. This is OG jeans marketing. I definitely do not see it as a rebrand. For the present moment, and language is very deliberately used here. It is. People don't invoke genetics casually. It's just very, very easy to sell denim without ever referencing it. They needed something overnight. And it is, at the end of the day, again, think of that Rorschach test. There's going to be people that project on it that it's all about genetics and it's MAGA. Just like there's people that project on those that support Justin Baldoni of being MAGA because they're anti-women. People are going to project their own views of the world on things, especially when the campaign is intentionally vague. This person here, Alyssa Vingan, who's a fashion writer, CNN didn't even get someone that's in branding and marketing, says it's lazy writing. I don't think it's funny or clever. This one over here says there's something to the fact that this company is called American Eagle. She's in jeans with a car and a dog. And then this is McLennan, a fashion professor. In the current political climate, and then with the invocation of genetics, it feels like it's just playing on the broader, larger cultural, social grappling we're having right now with what it means to be American. I do agree with that. This one here, Trump praises Sydney Sweeney ad, but does he know American Eagle is super woke? And this is what I mean by people projecting their own opinions of things onto it. So this person is I believe Rex had said left-leaning and believes that American Eagle is actually woke. So everyone is portraying or projecting their own views on it. Sydney Sweeney's American Eagle ads spark outrage. PR pros say it will make her a bigger star. I think it has the potential to. I'll talk about that at the end. Not everyone's phase. This is in Business Insider. Some pointed out that the American tradition of having sexualized young actresses hawk down jeans dates back to Brooke Shields' infamous 1980 Calvin Klein ad. I mean, how did I forget about that one? We forgot about that one. Let's have a quick look. So this is Brooke Shields' Calvin Klein ad. Again, I agree. This is the nostalgia piece, though. This is the nostalgia piece as a part of the American Eagle marketing. Look at this. Again, it's very similar poses to what Sydney Sweeney has. And we can see that here. Look, there's a picture of Sydney Sweeney. This article looks like it was comparing it to Brooke Shields in the Calvin Klein ad. And look at the pictures. They're very, very similar. Look how she's standing. So that's what I'm saying when this is also leveraging nostalgia marketing, which I talk a lot about on this channel. And as an extension of all of this, the jeans sold out in days. A company that could not move stock, a company that was gasping for breath, sold out in days. We saw stocks spike and retail frenzy. Shares jumped 10% approximately at campaign launch, spiked again for 24% after Trump's endorsement. Limited jeans stock sold out instantly thanks to urgency, that FOMO, and meme trading communities. But we see these headlines. American Eagle sees biggest daily jump in 25 years after Trump backs Sydney Sweeney ad. Sydney Sweeney has great jeans ad lifts American Eagle stock price. We're seeing here, this was August 6th by noon. It's up, the stock. Again, it worked. It did what it needed to do. Now, if you go to investors.ae.com, you can track the stock. Look at how shit it was doing. It was not looking so hot. And look at it spike after the ad. It's also showing that they had an opening of 12.03 up to 12.43. 52-week high, 22.82. 52-week low, 9.27. So we are seeing continued improvement with the stock, and the stock's not dropping so far. A lot of people assumed it would be like a one-day spike, but it's not. Now, I want to talk about briefly the psychology behind this, because there's psychology behind it, as there always is in marketing. You just don't realize it, right? If you're not in these fields, branding and marketing, you don't understand the psychology behind it. And it's not bad. You don't get seen. If you have a personal brand or you're building a business, you don't get seen if you don't understand psychology. If you do not understand how to brand and market yourself, I don't care how much of an expert you are, good luck being seen. You are going to fade away into oblivion, as Brian Freeman would say, into oblivion, and never be remembered. Maybe never make a sale, because you have to understand psychology. Now, yes, I always say, with great power comes great responsibility, from Spider-Man. And using psychology ethically should be a cornerstone of any brand's marketing strategy. But the psychology, number one, emotional contagion and outrage cycle. Rage spreads faster than joy. If I put up a video trashing Blake Lively versus a video about the science of happiness, what do you think is going to gain more traction online? It does. Negativity, rage, emotions tends to spread faster. People are yelling about this ad being problematic, and people see that outrage and defend the brand. Probably people that had not thought about American Eagle in 20 years. I had not even thought about American Eagle, I don't know, probably in 15, 20 years. Now I'm thinking about it. I was on their website looking at what they're up to these days. What are they selling these days? Is it anything I would wear? But regardless, everyone is emotionally activated. And you're more likely to talk about something when you're emotionally activated by it. You're more likely to remember something when you're emotionally activated by it. Just being, oh, whatever, another pretty girl in a jean ad. All right, scroll on. Do you think that American Eagle would have had this impact, had this type of recovery in the brand if they did that? Of course not. Absolutely not. They're playing on the emotions. Both sides are defending their identity. And American Eagle is the lightning rod. And the brand visibility goes nuclear. Like I said, I've been on the American Eagle website. I genuinely don't think I've thought about American Eagle in 20 years. Number two, the Baader-Meinhof phenomenon. This is a mental trick, and it can be incredibly useful in marketing. And understanding it helps you cook up strategies that make your brand stick in people's heads. And this can be from the everyday brand, the Etsy brand, the YouTube streamer, to global icons. You notice, one, what you're emotionally triggered by or connected to. It doesn't have to be a negative trigger. And you notice things that are continuously in your view. Keeps popping up. This creates the illusion, the Baader-Meinhof phenomenon, that something's everywhere. It tells you that it's socially relevant, tells you that the brand is relevant, and amplifies that virality. 4, social identity theory. People want to show who they are by what they support or what they cancel. You're sharing the ad, or you're canceling it, or defending it, but you are defending your identity. And that means people engage not to necessarily just support the ad, but to express themselves. And that's the holy grail of virality. People are talking more than ever. And again, like I said, I found myself on the American Eagle website for the first time in ages. 5, scarcity and urgency equals action. So this is FOMO. They had a limited edition Sydney Sweeney jeans and they sold out within days. Will they restock? I genuinely don't know. But polarity play essentially taps into one of our core human emotional needs, which is belonging. We have a deep tribal desire to belong. And in this type of ad, you're either for or against it, but you're belonging to something. Either way, though, you were actually a part of the marketing itself. You're not just someone taking it in or having commentary on it. You are actually the marketing. The only way to not be a part of the marketing of this campaign is to not talk about it at all. Don't be outraged. Don't be excited. Don't be supporting. Don't be canceling. That is the only way that you are not actually a role within the marketing. Your role is to turn the audience into the market part of the marketing department, essentially. Turns into a culture engine. Even when people think that they're fighting against the ad, the audience becomes part of the campaign itself. And this is exactly what they did. So someone thinks they're just commenting on this. What you're actually doing is one, expanding the reach, deepening the narrative, fueling virality, and actually driving product demand. Yes, even if you're trying to cancel it, just like what happened with me in CrossFit. My thoughts on this is American Eagle will be just fine. This campaign will not end it, obviously, because we're seeing everything that went so well with it. Its staying power is going to be what they do next, not what this ad did. Because again, you get this spike, but if analysts were saying that there were all of these problems within American Eagle itself, if the company doesn't fix those bleeding aspects of the company, they're just going to go back to bleeding again. So what are your next steps? Sydney Sweeney is a bit more of a wild card for me. The ad itself won't be a problem. It fits her brand. I mean, she's selling her bathwater. She had this ad here on body wash, and she said, let's face it, guys only want one thing. It fits her brand. The question is, does she have staying power as an actress? She is capitalizing on so many endorsements and brand deals right now. And it is because she's culturally relevant within her craft, within being an actress. If she has staying power as an actress, fantastic. She'll keep getting brand deals. She does have to be careful, though, with flooding and with being, I mean, look at this, the inescapable Sydney Sweeney just 5 days ago, talking about she's the ambassador right now of half a dozen labels. Another article in USA Today, Sydney Sweeney is everywhere from soap to jeans. A look at her viral ad campaigns. That can become problematic if you do that long term, where people are like, oh my God, just go away. And if it becomes where she pigeonholes herself too much in the type of ads she's taking on or campaigns she's taking on, that could potentially negatively impact her brand long term, depending on what she wants for her brand long term. Right? But I really believe that the question more so is going to become, does she have staying power as an actress? Is she taking on challenging roles? Is she doing well in those roles? That for me has more impact on what I see long term for her than this ad. This ad itself isn't going to cancel her. Now, quickly, I want to look at how small brands can leverage polarity play without setting fire to their reputation. 1, create micro controversy. You're not looking to trigger boycotts. You're looking to create, wait, did they just say that? Moments that spark engagement without torching trust. Use bold claims, rebellious tagline, a taboo truth, maybe even how you dress or how you speak. Half the time, my lipstick creates more controversy than anything else. And y'all don't think that's intentional? Y'all don't think when people are going on and on about like, I hate your lipstick, it's not intentional? Because it attracts the right people and it creates these micro controversies. Make sure, though, it's something that you can stand behind and be ready for the backlash and stand your ground on it. Yes, it may attract people that hate you, but the virality gets more eyeballs, including more of your people. Even my chokers, very intentional. And for CrossFit, an example was Pukey the Clown. Definitely rebellious. 2, leverage values friction. This is where you challenge an industry norm or what your audience thinks is right. It's not mean, it's honest, it's edgy, it's clear, and it gets people talking. It also differentiates you from your competition. An example, CrossFit openly mocked mainstream gyms and fitness experts. And that's what pissed me off at the beginning. I was like, hey, no. You're the ones causing injury. You shouldn't be here. And then I tried it, fell in love, never looked back. 3, use tension as an invitation. A polarity-driven brand doesn't push people away. It pulls the right people in deeper by giving them a reason to choose you. Let people opt in because of you, because of the clarity in who you are and what you stand for, or opt out. Some people will be vocal about opting out. Let them. An example for CrossFit was forging elite fitness and finding the fittest on earth. It caused so much tension in the fitness industry. And then when I heard it, though, when I heard them say that and market themselves like that, I was sold because that's what I wanted. 4, design content that begs for reaction. Not every post, though. Don't do it in every post. But don't just state something, challenge something, stand for something. If you try to be for everyone, you are for no one. Bland content leaves you broke. Period. You just blend in and you think, I'm not rocking the boat. I'm not going to upset anyone. You can say you like potatoes, white potatoes, and someone's going to cancel you for it or say something stupid about it. So you might as well stand for what you really want to stand for. This creates comment-worthy tension without crossing moral lines, as basically everything CrossFit stands for. Well, back in the day, they've gotten murky, which has been the downfall of their brand in recent years. 5, build a safe spark system. Control doses of friction or intensity that ignite story, identity, and loyalty without burning the brand down. They're repeatable, scalable, talkable, and they deepen the brand mythos. So an example of this might be if you're a brand in the mental health field and you're challenging industry norms. That's going to create friction. I have some clients over the years that are actually challenging the DSM. They're challenging how psychology is approached. That does create doses of friction and intensity, but it's also creates story, identity, and loyalty. So for this checklist, you can use it to create your polarity play content, contrarian viewpoint, emotional truth, cultural moment tie-in, reclaim a buzzword, bold visuals, copy hook. So again, bold visuals for me are often my makeup and my choker are just 2 of the ones that I always use. And again, when people tell me not to do it, it's literally my brand. It's the point. And example, CrossFit reclaiming the word fitness and even their use of hero workouts. So they have Murph, they have the girls, which are these benchmark workouts, and it creates such a strong identity around the brand. But those cultural moment tie-ins, a lot of the hero moments tie into cultural moments as well. If you have a business or a personal brand, I want you to walk away with this. An unwillingness to be bold will keep you stuck. Where would American Eagle be without this ad? Slipping away into oblivion, honestly. Any brand that's made something of themselves and actually made money has been willing to be bold and challenge paradigms. And polarity play is simply one way you can go about it. If you're ready for help with your brand reach and your marketing, reach out to support@ashleybrandandeve.com to discuss custom packages. I do have a couple offers. There are more basic offers up on the website, ashleybrandandeve.com. But for specialized offers, please do reach out and we'll look at how I can meet your needs. All right, friends, with that, we're done for today. I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.